Hello, everyone. Now we are back with the Beta Talks, and today we have Michelle on my channel. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It's awesome to have you. And you are an ESTP in the Myers-Briggs system. Would you like to share your type in the OP system with us?
Yeah, so I'm an audio ESTP. My animal stack is consume, sleep, play, blast, which so my sensory is masculine, masculine SE, masculine TI, feminine FE, and then feminine NI. And I'm double acted on TI with my consume savior.
Cool. So you're
Yeah.
a type I've never had on my my limited channel. I've already had 2 interviews and I haven't had your type.
Nice.
Yeah, I had an
Yeah.
ESTP Ian before, but he's a jumper, so an actual like more standard ESTP, but still, as you said, you're kind of mopey because you're consume and sleep at the top. So did you think that you were an ESTP prior to OP?
Never would have been on my radar. I actually thought I was between INTP and ISTP actually in MBTI land. I steered away from ISTP only because the descriptions didn't resonate with me, but of course we know that they aren't really relevant, but they would say things like being a risk taker and living on the edge and things like that. And I was like, yeah, that's not me. That's not me. So INTP seemed to be a little more appealing to me. But I think it just probably resonated with my sleep animal a little bit, just being in the inner world and introverted and puzzling and things like that appealed to me more so. When I discovered OP and I started studying it, I knew for sure I had Demon FE. I knew I was Savior TI. But again, I thought I had NE and SI.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool that you were able to see that you had FETI axis or the TI-FE axis going on for you. So tell me more about that. Like, how did you track that? How come you saw it?
I think the IP resonated with me because I thought I had Demon FE at the bottom. It's just the tribe awareness, the certain discomfort with realizing everyone's values on the spectrum and somehow not fitting in with it at certain degree. And it was just yeah, it's just I knew I didn't have it as a savior. And then the TI with the basic descriptions of puzzling and very personal logic and thinking over feeling all really resonated with me. So I pretty much knew that for a fact. I had that, but the observer, I didn't. When Shan told me I had SE, I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah.
Wow. So what was your reaction to that? Like initially, did you think that they got you wrong or could you see it or?
No, I went into the experience anticipating that I had some component of it not correct, because they always say, oh, you're going to get yourself upside down or something like that, which I wouldn't have thought I was an ESFJ. If I thought I was an INTP, it definitely wouldn't have resonated with me. But yeah, when she told me and she explained it to me, she's like, my really limited idea of NE was, oh, I see patterns and things like that. When she's like, really feminine NI can be not like any, but similar, where my personal patterns were, I attributed to it being any, but I was really seeing the sensory on the spectrum and very just present in the moment. And so when she did tell me that, I was like, oh, okay. So she said I had masculine SE, and I was like, oh, I thought my memory was terrible. I thought I had feminine SE. But she said throughout the conversation, I was just keeping track of time. I was like, hey, it's been like an hour. Are we still good? Can we continue talking? She's like, oh, no, we're good. We can keep going. Things like that. And my timelines, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've heard that too, that what you said initially, like that the any, the feminine and no, the feminine NI can be similar to any
Mm-hmm.
I did confuse that in myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also thought that I was NE, but I'm NI actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't have any like visceral reaction of, oh, you got my type wrong. It's just like more clarity. Because when she explained it to me, I was like, okay, so I have some things to process. And then after that, it just started to click. I was like, wow, yeah, this is legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you,
Explains so much.
yeah, tell me more about that. Like, what did it explain? Like, do you have an
Um,
examples, SE examples?
yeah. I know when I was thinking I was an INTP, I was like, I thought I was an INTP, but I realized that I have an awareness of my surroundings and the present state of things. Like I'm aware of like the temperatures and if there are sounds in the environment and if there's a door closing or the things like that. And I'm aware if something changes in the environment, which I didn't really connect with someone being any at the top because the descriptions just didn't reflect that in MBTI, but they did talk about those things a little bit with ISTP. Now I forgot the question again. What was that?
So basically the question was, I don't even remember it myself. Feminine intuition at the top doesn't help either.
Yeah, and blast doesn't help either. I
Well,
thought it was
I guess,
something about, oh,
yeah, the basic question was how you could relate to or resonate to the type that you
yeah,
got, and what kind of, like, it made sense. You said it made sense.
yeah,
Like, how
yeah.
did it make sense? Like,
Yeah, how it plays out for me.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's where I was talking about my engagement in the world and experiencing it. Um, so yeah, I'm very present in the moment, SE,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I feel like I'm very passive in the moment as well. It's like a give and take where I'm aware of everything around me, but I'm constantly processing things and filtering it through what it might mean to me. What could it mean to me later on? How can this benefit me now? How can this benefit me later? Things like that. Um,
Yeah.
and then with FE in third place and then being feminine, that was really a great thing to wrap my head around and understand. So I do have an awareness of it, but I'm not necessarily good at it, I'd say. But I've always had a fascination with people, which I pursued psychology, and now I'm in occupational therapy and I work with people all day long. But I had to learn to bring out my interest in people in a way that wasn't just like me being a scientist and studying, actually being engaged and doing that way. So while in my head I have a good understanding of people, I don't necessarily always act on it.
Yeah, it's more like you have puzzled and understood things, but you don't put it into
Yeah, in the
practice
in
or
the in the
show it.
practice.
Yeah.
Yes, which I will say my work has helped me do that tremendously. And I can use my saviors in order to support that demon FE third. So I think it comes out as I end up puzzling with people to help them figure out what they value and how things can work for them in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like you have to go that extra mile to reach to your FE kind of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's so interesting. So I kind of do that by default. And you always think that everyone does it the way you do it,
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
which is, yeah, not the way it works.
Mm-mm.
Interesting. So it's kind of impressive then that you are working with people being like Savior TI.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a growth path, I guess, for you.
Mm-hmm.
So how
Yeah.
come you chose that line of work?
So it came down to having family members that have mental health challenges and then me really wanting to understand that. And so as a teen, I was like, well, I really want to go into psychology. I read psychology books, and I was just fascinated by understanding the mind. And I think indirectly, I was wanting to understand myself better as well, but also understand my family member and support them the best way that I can. And so I pursued psychology. I got my undergraduate degree in that, and I minored in communication. But then I felt psychology was just a bit too cerebral.
Yeah.
It's almost like come in and sit on the couch and talk to me about your problems and
Yeah.
things like that. And I really wanted something more hands-on
Mm-hmm.
than it just being cerebral, which occupational therapy is like perfect for that. It has a significant psych component, but I get to go and help people be as independent as possible in their daily routine with what they value, which is kind of where the FE comes into play too. And then I learned that, I've got to learn to blast as well in order to help them too. So that's kind of the route I took with my interest in psychology.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then when you come home, are you like totally going into your own little world, your cave, and just, recharging then? Or
yes, here we are. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, and I'm married, and so my husband is really understanding. I don't know what his type is, I've speculated a little bit, I'm not sure, but I think he probably also has sleep as a savior, possibly. So we kind of both have our own worlds, but then we come together and it's all good, but we give each other our space too. So it works out. He knows I have my little project, and he really encourages me to do that. And yeah.
Is that the op project, learning about op, or is it the music that I see in the background?
Yeah, it's music. Sometimes doing video games, stuff around the house, because I get into a little bit of like home repair, home renovation. Not a whole lot. I'm trying to get better about getting more projects done, but I really enjoy doing stuff around the house. I got a grill in August, so I've been working on learning how to grill and things like that. Yeah, and then I'd also do I have paint pours that I do, which I don't know, there's one my sister and I did in the background, but it's very abstract paint techniques. So yeah, I do that. That was my COVID hobby. So I started during COVID.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really interesting. So you have like 4 or 5 different projects going on, like simultaneously.
Yeah, a lot of different things. Yeah.
Interesting. So for myself, I have like at the moment 1.
Yeah.
Basically, or maybe 2, like OP and music. But
yeah. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's the NISE difference there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably spread myself a little thin sometimes. If I could just reel in and focus on like one thing, it'd be great. I'll never forget my band teacher told me that many years ago. He was like, if you would just stick with one thing, you'd be really great at that one thing. Because, he knew then I played trombone in band, but then I, dabbled on guitar and dabbled on piano, and I wanted to play all the instruments. And it's like, just stick with one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what that is, because I feel I do the same within the area. So with music, it's the same for me. I started off with a guitar, and then I bought a piano, and I started to teach myself how to play, and, trying a couple of other instruments. So within this, hobby, I will try different things. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's not like an OE thing to focus. I don't know. Yeah, anyways, I was thinking of asking you some other questions. So you already told me about your type, and you told me about your reaction to your type. And so going forward from here, I'm wondering a little bit about before and after. Like, can you see any differences between before you knew about your type and now, like in terms of awareness, in terms of strategies, in terms of understanding yourself and other people? Like, has it helped in any way? Or yeah, just share whatever you feel like
Yeah,
sharing.
I think it's really helped with my perception of tidal waves, because I used to think my tidal waves were all people based, because I made the association that it was something related to a person, and really it's just the missing information in the situation that would have me go into a quite a bit of a tidal wave, like, oh no, I misperceived, or I went down the wrong, like, for example, it'd be better if I gave an example. Like, I remember having sent an email um, to one of the employees at my job to narrow down on the menu options, because I was working with a client on diabetic management, making like appropriate meal choices and things like that. And because I never could seem to get him one-on-one to email that to them. And then someone else brought up the point, and it's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't email about something like that because of the, oops, sorry, because of the potential, how it might implicate certain aspects of his job. And then to me, I was like, oh my gosh, I was just sending an email just to kind of figure out what we could do. But I didn't think it was that big of, oh, it would implicate his job or something like that. So it would put me like in kind of a little bit of a tidal wave. And it was probably nothing major, but me trying to be so cautious and approaching it and missing that little bit of information kind of freaked me out. So that makes sense. It put me kind of in a tidal wave, because I didn't think I did anything serious or emailed anything bad, but
Yeah.
I don't know, just hearing that kind of made me freak out.
So what did you do then? Like, how did you process that, or how did you from there?
I followed up with the employee in person, and then from there I realized it wasn't really as big of a deal. I'm trying to think of the detail of the email. Oh, I think because he told me before that I should tag in someone from corporate, because they usually manage that, which I didn't do, but I just mentioned that in the email. He was like, yeah, he told me then, it's like something about he manages the menus, but it's not really the same way that corporate wants him to. And that, I don't know all the details, but it was, I don't quite remember all of them, but it was just something that I could have potentially implicated if I had to tag the person in. And then me having said, oh, I can contact them, made it sound like, oh, well, I'm just going to go over your head without really talking to you. But when I spoke to him in person, it would seem like it was fine and we were able to work it out. But leading up to that point, me having that missing bit of information just had freaked me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's
so
interesting. Yeah.
So yeah, I can talk myself down from things in terms of like, I can't know everything. It's not possible for me to know everything. So there's no point in me working myself up about if there's a missing piece of information. I just need to, I'll take it and then I can learn and go from there.
Yeah. Kind of helps you to not go as hard on yourself. Just
yeah. Because I'll automatically be like super hard on myself. Like, I should have done this. I should have done this. I should have said that. I shouldn't have done this. And it just kind of spirals then.
Yeah, it's the dumb and wrong thing, the masculine TI, like pushing on self and judging self, kind of.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I also have masculine TI, so I can relate to what you are telling me. Have you like seen that play out, like the masculine TI? Do you have any other experiences with that function? Like, how does that play out for you? Are you shabby like on yourself in other regards? Or
oh yeah, when it comes to everything, like it's like if I don't feel like I can put my best foot forward, or I don't perceive that I did my best in the situation, I'm like really hard on trying to remedy that. I'm like, what can I do better next time? What piece of information or what strategy can I implement to make sure that I can be my best in every situation?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Like, yeah, how we always try to better ourselves, I guess, and learn from our experience. And, you know, yeah, it's always this question about the right way of doing it and the wrong way and refining that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's constantly refining. I think where my, being double activated TI, I think I've heard from a few people in the OP community. They're like, I don't really see your TI. You don't seem to have like a really pushy, strong TI. I'm like, oh, it's there. It's in there. It's just I've learned that, people don't want to see that. People really don't want to see that. They don't want to see that. But I think it can come out when someone's trying to get me to do something that I don't want to do. Like I'm not very movable on that, or things that don't resonate with my identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can be a bit rigid when it comes to things like that. Like, I know we had a Clubhouse chat the other day with the MF modality, and I think Laura, Jana, and I were talking about our experience as being audio and how there aren't as many women that are audio, and how I guess fitting in with that gender role or gender standards and things like that. And I've always had a little bit of resistance when it comes to that. Even when I was a young age, my mom wanted me to wear dresses, and I'm like, nope, not wearing a dress.
Yeah, I heard a little bit. Actually, I was there on Clubhouse, and yeah, like this whole feminine thing that I don't remember if that was you talking about it, like not feeling as girly, something along those lines.
Yeah. So yeah, not feeling like in terms of those standards, like, I'm into video games, which there are a lot more females now into video games, but I remember always hearing when I was younger, oh, I don't know that a lot of girls play video games. Or my instrument selection, playing trombone, people are like, there aren't a lot of girls that play trombone. But there are. It's just not as common. And I guess I always got a little annoyed with stuff like that. It's like, I like what I like, why does it have to have a don't here's the don't control me bro stuff. Why does it have to have like a gender label? Like, can't I just like what I like and it just be that? If I like wearing baggy clothes, I like wearing baggy clothes.
Yeah.
Sure. People give me a hard time with that too. Why do you wear baggy clothes for? Because I like it. It's comfortable,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of your way, because I'm guessing because you are like double masculine at the top. So both your SE and your TI are masculine. So you're kind of confident, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. But then there's resistance when you're aware of like what the tribe seems to value and what the tribe expects, and then you don't add up to that. So yeah, it's like you feel a little bit on the outside. Isn't a little bit of it outside?
Like how? Like outside?
Like if, for example, if like the perception of and this is probably where my own personal thinking may have been rigid as well, just because of what I was exposed to and what I grew up around, when females are expected to dress up and be pretty and things like that. And I was more like, no, that's not me. And then realizing that I could potentially be perceived a certain way that I may not actually be. That potential disconnect where I have my identity, but people don't perceive my identity as that. They label me as something else just because I make a specific clothing choice, or I decide not to do a thing a certain way. I don't know if I could pull out any specific examples aside from that. Let's say, for example, like, not being like if someone makes a joke about being a housewife, I think that's a little triggering for me. It's a little triggering for me.
Yeah.
Um, it's like, because I very much believe in the equality in that sense, let's split the chores up, let's do
Mhm.
that, but I'm not going to do all of that in that
Yeah. Yeah.
perceived gender role sense. Like I get a little triggered there.
Yeah, that reminds me of when, yeah, well, me and my ex, we were discussing this who's gonna wash the dishes, thing.
Yeah.
And he claimed that he had some allergies, so he couldn't. So yeah. And so I bought these allergy friendly gloves so that he would be able to do it. So I solved the problem,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he had the next, explanation that he was allergic to the gloves, I guess. And yeah, so we had like another discussion, and then the next day he came home with a dishwasher, and that was great. I mean, solved
Yeah,
the
that's
problem.
great.
And
Yeah.
then I remember like his mom, next time when she saw the dishwasher, she was like, oh, looking at me like, what are you gonna do now? And I'm like, who knows? Maybe I'm gonna play soccer.
Right.
Yeah, so I get what
man.
you're saying, like these
Yeah.
traditional things. And I
Mhm.
was also like, I'm also audio, so kind of a tom girl, into kind of
Mhm.
more boys sports, playing a lot with boys when I was younger and so forth. So yeah,
Mhm.
I get you.
Yeah. And it comes down to me, it's like people like what they like. Let them like what they like.
Yeah, yeah, this is interesting, like, yeah, your type and everything. There are so many things now boiling in my head. Let's see if I can pick something out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me more about your play. Like, you have played third as I
Mhm.
have,
Mhm.
and I'm kind of curious because what I hear people say that the SEFE, the SF play, is kind of flirty. Would you say that you relate to that, or?
Yeah, probably. I could probably be perceived as a flirt. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell me more about that, because I've heard that too. Like, as I said, I had, yeah, this ex, he also said that I was a flirt, and I was like, what? I'm just myself, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell me, how does that play out for you?
I think maybe it comes across as flirty because I tend to be very complimentary. Like, so if I see someone has like a new, I notice like if someone has a new pair of glasses or a new shirt or a new pair of shoes, a new outfit, or they have like a nice cologne or perfume on, like I'll compliment on that. I'm like, oh, you smell really good. And or I'm like, wow, I really like your outfit, or hey, I really like those glasses. You're looking good today. Things like that.
Yeah,
And we're like,
yeah. And it's
okay.
kind of just a natural reaction. Like,
Yeah, it
you have the
is.
feminine FE, which is very,
Mhm,
yeah, kind of soft and movable and,
mhm,
friendly, wanting everyone to be seen and heard, and,
mhm,
and then the SE tracking, yeah, the things on the
mhm.
outside. So it's kind of a
Exactly.
natural thing. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. No, no, no. That's a great explanation. Yeah, but yeah, I see it that way, and so I think I can. I remember I had an ex that yes perceived me to be very flirty, and like you said, I'm just being me.
Yeah. It's so
Um.
hard because, it's hard to be yourself when people think that you're flirting with them just,
Mhm.
by doing nothing, actually.
Yeah. And I think on the other side too, like if a person isn't used to that and they might connect, oh, is this person attracted to me or do they like me? Is it that? And if they're not used to that and they're getting something nice, sometimes that I guess line can be blurred from the other side and that
Yeah.
perspective when, we're just genuinely being nice.
Yeah, because for them, maybe it would be like a, a sincere effort, like a very
Mm-hmm.
hard thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make these, yeah, compliments and being
Mm-hmm.
so positive
Yeah.
about things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we solve that then?
Mm.
How have you solved it?
Well, I
Are you
guess for
toning
me,
yourself down, or?
yeah, it doesn't I think because I have demon FE, it's not just going to jump out and just be kind of automatic. Like I've already taken in a little bit and enough about the person to kind of, I guess, gauge their vibe and how they might respond to it. And then I might just start with like things that are subtle, like, oh, I really like the color of your shirt or something like that. Or that's my favorite color, something like that.
Yeah.
And get them maybe engaged in the conversation. And I think it comes across as like less flirty. Because even when I say that, it's not me just randomly complimenting like everybody I see. It's
Yeah.
usually something I really, really like, or
Yeah.
if I'm
You
just trying
mean
to
it.
engage a person. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I usually try to gauge the person first before I compliment them. It's like when
Yeah.
I saw you straightened your hair and I was like, oh, I love it. It looks so good,
Yeah.
It looks really nice.
Yeah. And also like you having SE at the top, like you see everything and you, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I should be talking. It's an
No,
interview.
you're fine. You're fine. I'm totally okay with pauses, it's all
Going
good.
into the sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna play. So I was just thinking, maybe for me having the blast first, it's kind of harder to control that. Like as you said, you have the FE also third as a demon, and you are consume sleep at the top. So maybe you can kind of hold your horses and not spreading all these compliments like everywhere. What I have noticed with myself and also other INFJs that are, we are often blast saviors. We seem to be, just pouring out the compliments.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm holding myself back. I'm trying not to.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've seen that now, like on Discord when we are so many INFJs. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Like,
Yeah,
we need to
that's
stop that. Because it's a thing that it's kind of an inflation. Like,
yeah.
if you give too many compliments, they won't be as much worth.
Yeah. I guess now that you say that, I guess I am tracking that with the INFJs a little bit. You guys are pretty complimentary and you just keep kind of, you bring it out.
Yeah, like the other night we had like this younger guy. He's really sweet, an INFJ, and he was just pouring out all of it, and he was I love you, man, I love you all, I love you, and I was so like love, and everyone was reciprocating, and it was too much even for me as a FE. I was like, oh whoa, it's enough already. Yeah, so I was like, oh no, I hope I don't come across like too much, in that sense. But it was really genuine from his part, and the FE love, it's not as deep. So when you say that you love someone like with FE, it's kind of I love you, I love this guitar, I love my food, whatever.
I know, and that's such an interesting thing with the word love. Like if someone says, like I love you, and I'm like, what? Like I can't say it back to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
not
it's
sorry.
The
sorry.
FE maybe.
I was like, cool, nice feelings. Love is a strong word. Love is a strong word. I get a little awkward with that. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess there are many forms of love, that the love, more based on principles and loving what is right, and
yes,
the love for your pet, your family members, your
yes,
friends, and then there is the romantic love as well.
Yes. And then because it's it's all one word, like if we had different, there probably are
There
different words
are
for
in
that.
other languages, but I'm not
Yes.
sure in English. Maybe, yeah, you can be affectionate, you can care for someone, like, and so forth. But yeah, it's not as distinct. Like you could use that in a romantic sense.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I know in Greek there are at least 4 words for love, and it's very distinct. So you will know, like you can tell the romantic love apart from the other forms of love. So there won't be any confusion, at least in ancient Greek. I'm not sure about modern day Greek. Yeah, okay, let's not go there any further. That's just.
But I'm very
fascinated.
Very fascinated. I'm going to look that up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
kind
awesome.
of cool. Yeah, it's
I like
cool.
that. It's just like the word friend, like acquaintance versus friend versus coworker, versus like colleague and things like that.
Yeah.
How some people will say friend for all of those, where I like the distinction.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the distinction.
Yeah, language is kind of important. Yeah, can mean a lot, and it can have like a really, really deep effect, I guess. For me as an NF, that's hard because it's so much intuition feeling land, and I forget about the sensory word, like, and the the thinking, like the logic behind the words. It's more like an explosion of NF coming out, which is not always accurate in the TI sense.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, so like if someone's coming at me with saying, oh, I love you, and if it's like a,
yeah, you should check, is this an NF person or is it an ST person? And then you can kind of interpret it. Or you can ask additional questions. Yeah. So I know that that's a thing. Maybe I can come across as too loving sometimes, and yeah, I need to work on that, I guess. Yeah, so how do you experience that being ST? Like, could it be like the opposite, like holding back too much, or?
Yeah, definitely more on the holding back, and being apprehensive and sharing something like that with, and I think maybe when it does come out, I wonder if it's intense. I don't know. Maybe not, but it can take a while for it to come. And I think maybe what happens more often than not is people are like, oh, Michelle seems indifferent towards me, maybe perceived as indifference when, I guess my way of showing that I care for a person and or I like a person and want to spend time with them and things like that is just like setting time aside to do things with them, like planning activities or planning video calls or things like that. But yeah, I think that's something else that I always kind of struggled with too, is that perception of, how does the tribe kind of see me when it comes to things like that. But yeah, I tend to be on the reserved side.
Yeah.
When it comes to sharing affection. But then when you do have my affection, I'm probably like overload. My poor husband.
He's loved, right?
Oh yeah, poor guy.
All of the love goes there, like in one direction.
Yeah. That my parents, like my sister, like my family, even his family too, like it's but different, it's very, I guess that's where maybe the categories and my little NI boxes come into play, where I have my NI boxes for people and how I might interact with them.
This is very interesting because I'm thinking of the differences for a DE versus a DI as yourself. Because as a DE, what I said, the love goes everywhere. But then having demon DI, when it's actually, real, when it's close, when it really matters, then you are like more insecure and more cautious, and you have a harder time to express yourself. So it's kind of the opposite.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
So when I don't say much, then it's deep.
Oh, fascinating.
It's crazy. It's the opposite.
Wow, that's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that is really fascinating.
And that can be, interpreted very wrongly.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
So another thing I was thinking about, like, so I have blast over play,
Mm-hmm.
blast first and play third, and you have play third and blast fourth.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking of comparing that, like,
Okay.
how is that different? Like when you have blast over play or play over blast. And just to get started, like I'm gonna blast a little bit here.
That's good.
Then you can play.
That's good.
Good. Yeah, so to get started, where was I? This is a blaster thing. We don't know what we are going to say. Not even I do. Yeah, maybe you could start. I forgot.
That's okay. All right. So like I think I've processed this a little bit, so I think I have something.
Oh, great. Someone processing before talking. I love that.
The play over blast, like I realize and work is like the best example for me. It's like when I'm trying to teach like one of my clients something or figure something out with them, like I don't have the answer directly, but I kind of have to ping off of them a little bit. I've taken in like the environment and I realize what we need to modify, what we need to change. But I've got to check in with the person to make sure that it's on their spectrum of like what's going to be important for them and that they value it and that it's not just my TI. Like, oh, I know we need to fix this thing, but I need to make sure they want to do this or what it is that they want at this point. So that's when my play comes out. And it's like, all right, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? And that's when where I guess I call it brainstorming comes out. And then once I get a little more from them, I feel like I can direct it into a solution that's going to meet my goal for their safety, but also what they value.
Yeah. So you will ping off the tribe and kind of consume.
Yes.
From the tribe.
Yes. Then to narrow down to guide them to the direction we need to get in to make the adaptation or the goal to make it safe, to make them independent with whatever activity it is. So
yeah,
that's kind of I think for me, play over blast. Otherwise I'll just play with the tribe, and if it's not work, I don't really get much accomplished. It's just me like, oh, let's try to do this, let's play.
Yeah.
Literally play.
Yeah. So I experienced like your animal stack where you have, consume, sleep, play. Like you are more playful than I am. Like the blast, sleep, play. Like I think it matters if the blast comes before the play or vice versa. So I feel that with you guys, you are more kind of chill, going more with the vibe and just, feeling it and, tracking whatever is there on the outside, in a sense, before you interact or while you're interacting. And you don't have as much of an agenda, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's no agenda.
Yeah, it's kind of improvising. Yeah. And I'm not sure that I really have, I don't know about that. Like you don't see your first function or your first animal. But what the blast does for me is that I kind of have sleep process things earlier, and then I will kind of just, pull from that and start, kind of get the conversation started. Like then I'm happy to let people play. So I just wanted to start. I guess what I am controlling there is kind of the topic or the direction of the conversation. So when it's just this kind of, in my eyes, meaningless play where people are just, yeah, I know I'm horrible.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, because, you want to go somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So SE is like, oh, we can go everywhere. Which is fine too. I mean, I can do that too. But yeah, for the most part, I guess I want to go in one direction. So like for me, I want to learn more about OP at this moment. So maybe people are talking about all kinds of things. So
Mm-hmm.
I will just steer it in a direction. So pick up
Mm-hmm.
something of what they are saying, pick something from my box, tie them together, blast something out, and then I will let the tribe play, because now it's, now it's interesting. Now I can play.
Yeah.
Because we're,
Yeah.
you need to know. So
That's so fascinating though. Yeah. Because you're creating the agenda, kind of like, basing it on what you're interested in, but,
yeah,
kind of what the tribe is there for. That's really interesting.
yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it's the opposite way of doing it. So you're kind of
Mhm.
narrowing it down first, like
Mhm.
this is the playground. And
Yeah.
now let's play on this
Mhm.
specific playground, which isn't really play, I guess.
Mhm.
And I guess that's the controlling part of it. So I'm working on that. I'm just trying, to, you know, relax a little bit more and
Mhm.
let people do whatever they do and then just observe, kind of.
Yeah. And I think I do that to a certain degree. Like when it comes to planning activities with people, it's like, okay, I base the interaction around a specific activity, whether it's we're playing video games or we're going to a restaurant or we're going to see a show or something like that. Then that's like my NI box of, oh, this is the directive. And now we can just, when we're there, we just do whatever. But that's like that's the goal, is the activity. I guess if that even makes sense.
Is that more at work then, or like when you are?
That's outside of work. Yeah, that's outside of work.
Okay, cool.
I will say even at work, I'm probably a little too easygoing and flexible, even for my like treatment sessions too. Depending on what goals I have set, I'm usually pretty flexible in what we work on, and I can tie it back to the goals, but I'm not usually like, oh, we're going to work on A, B, C, and D in this order. I try to, when I get to the client and I see what's going on and say, how can I, support you today? And I have this goal in mind, but if you want to get this done first, then we can work that out and then transition to the other thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do have to have a certain agenda, but I'm pretty flexible.
Yeah. As an SE, I guess you can jump like between different agendas, kind of. Yeah. So you were the one, I think, who called the Beta Quadra the music quadra, right?
I don't think that was me.
Oh, who named it the music quadra? Anyways, that's not important. So I'm thinking of, like, both of us, we have observed that there are a lot of people who are betas that are into music, like making music, creating music, making songs and all that. So and you mentioned that you are playing the trombone, and I can see that you have a guitar in the background as well.
Yeah.
Piano,
Yep. Bass
keyboard.
guitar. Yeah, I've got a piano, acoustic guitar here, and I have an electric guitar over here too.
Oh, I love it. So
yeah.
You're your own band.
Yeah.
Kind
yeah. And I don't know if you can see here, I have a cajon underneath the keyboard too, but you can't see it from here. But yeah.
Really cool. So how long have you been into like music making? And
oh my goodness, so one of my first memories is my dad got me this small Casio keyboard for Christmas. I was probably like 6 or 7, but it probably only had like 26 keys or something like that. And I remember he said, if you can learn how to play a song on this, I'll get you a bigger keyboard. And I remember him showing me just how to play Silent Night on it. That was the only song. He wasn't a musician per se, but he kind of just sounded it out and played it. And that was my introduction. I was like, oh, that's all I need to do to like figure out how to play a song on here. I could just sound it out. And it just kind of went from there. So I've been playing, I taught myself to play piano. So that was like the first instrument I was introduced to at 7. And then of course the recorder in elementary school. And then I decided to be in band, and I wanted to play saxophone, tenor saxophone specifically.
that's so cool.
It is. It's a cool instrument. It's a cool instrument. But my band teacher talked me out of it. And he was like, you have a really great embouchure for trombone. You should play that. Which, now as a musician, when I think back and think about that, he just kind of talked me out of it because there's so many saxophone players and they had 0 trombone players. So then I got into that. But I'm happy I did. I love brass instruments. I love the trombone. I'm glad I did get to play it play it.
Quite unique, actually.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't heard of many trombone players so far.
Yeah, it's an awesome instrument. And then I guess then I got into acoustic guitar in my teens, and started playing that then. And yeah, I dabbled a little with trumpet. I dabbled a little bit with tuba. But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then the singing bit, because I do sing.
Yeah, you do. I've heard you.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Oh, thank you. That was I just enjoyed singing along with music. And a guy I was dating, my ex at the time, I had a jam session with him and 2 of his friends, and they were like, "You're good. You should try to do something with it." And I thought, what? Okay.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I started becoming a little more serious with singing and recording. I went to the recording studio, had a song on the radio at one point.
Wow.
I mean, it's just little things. It was just local, but I realized I don't want to be an artist. I like singing, but that's not, I don't want to be an artist, but I dabbled a little bit. I don't like the idea of performing or anything like that either, singing, but yeah, that's kind of my journey with the music thing. Oh, and marching band and jazz band in college. I did that. So play trombone. Yeah.
Pretty much, actually. And the songwriting, do you write songs every year, quite regularly?
I'm more into when songwriting is just with the music. Yeah, I do that fairly regularly, where well, maybe not in the last 3 or 4 years, but up until that point, I was regularly creating music.
Yeah.
Lyrically, I don't consider myself a very strong lyricist. It's hard for me to write. Just narrowing all the information down, and then I find my lyrics tend to be a little too simplistic, and so it's just,
well, I guess we're all our worst, enemies somehow. Yeah.
So yeah, writing is but I like making the music. I like creating the music. That's what gives me energy. The sounds, not the words.
Yeah. I can totally relate to that too. I always want someone else to write the lyrics for me, or if I see some great lyrics somewhere, if a friend wrote something, that showed me some poem or something, I'm like, wow, can I write a piece of music to this?
Yes,
it really inspired me.
Yes, I relate to that. So yeah.
So we need lyricists then to our collab.
So yeah. So which quadra do we need to reel in for that?
I wonder which quadra it could be. I think there could be great, Beta's doing a great work as lyricists too.
Yeah.
The ones who aren't writing the music, maybe they are the ones who, let's see.
Yeah. It's I think Eminem is a fantastic, he's someone that I always really looked up to lyrically. He's really out there, but he really has great lyrics and an interesting way to play with words and then play with words and rhythm that I admire. So yeah.
I wonder if it's a modality thing, because I have noticed that some people that I know that are probably visual can really, really write great lyric. And I think what they do is a friend of mine, she said she's painting with words. Like she has this visual, this image in her head,
Mm-hmm.
and she draws from the image and then she puts the words to it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, if you're audio, it's more audio kinesthetic. It's more like a feeling, something cloudy inside. It's not an image in the same way, you know, and then it's harder to attach the words to it.
Yeah.
Is
That's a
what
really nice way of putting it. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm just, you know, theorizing, I guess. I don't know for sure, but that's a pattern I'm noticing.
It resonates. It definitely resonates. Like it's just hard to pull the words from it.
Yeah.
It's like even with the writing process, like I have the melody first, which I know a lot of people say, oh, I write and then I make the melody, but I do the melody first and then I try to pull words from what I'm interpreting from the melody and the vibe of the song. So
do you ever have like a feeling, and just from that feeling you just sit with whatever instrument you choose, and then the words and the music come at the same time? Or is that maybe a blast thing or something?
Words are very last in the process. Like sometimes even when I make something, like I have feelings, but I don't assign values to them. It's just like, ooh, this makes me feel like I love the way it feels. Like whether it's it may be a little assignment of like if it makes me feel melancholy or if it makes me feel happy, or it makes me just, I don't know. It's hard for me to narrow that down. Maybe that's probably part of the reason why I have trouble with songwriting, because I can't really narrow it down. I know it makes me feel something, but
so basically what you're saying is that the music makes you feel something. But what if, so I'm thinking, so for me, it's more like I have a feeling inside and then I blast it out with the music. So you are kind of coming from the other direction. Oh, interesting. So I don't even know where I'm going. Like, yeah, you know, yeah, I can mention it here. So this piece that I was sharing with you earlier on the Discord. So like I had absolutely no clue what I was going to play, but I knew what I felt. And then I just let things happen. That's kind of, I think what happens is the same as when I'm blasting, you know. I think blast is not only with words. Basically, it's just, you know, doing it. And it can be, if you have some sort of skill, for example, playing an instrument or something, it's kind of just coming. Like you don't know what's gonna happen, like the next step. It's just happening, you know. Kind of, yeah, you're exploring it while you are doing it.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you relate to that too?
Yeah. Exploring it while you're doing it. Yeah. Cause like sometimes to get the songwriting process going, like I'll get on my like on the computer and I'll pick a certain keyboard sound and I'll just go through all the sounds until I find a sound that I'm like, oh, that's making me, I don't know, it's giving me energy. It's like I feel a spike. So then I start playing around with that and then it just comes from there, but I don't have a certain emotion tied to it. But then as soon as I start adding instruments, and it's just a very vague experience. But I really don't have like a, I don't have a defining feeling for it.
No, the feelings come like with the sounds.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like the sounds comes with the feelings.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. But I think in both cases, it's NF blast that is being used, both for both of us, but we are like coming from two different directions. Yeah, because you are kind of me upside down and vice versa. So super interesting.
It is interesting.
I just like, now I want to sleep process this right now.
Go ahead. Feel free.
Yeah, sure. Maybe I have to pause the interview. Well, let's go back to the interview, like not just talking music, but it's part of it.
It is.
But I had like a couple of questions in mind here. If I can find, Yeah, I was thinking like, I think we have covered it, describing more about your experience of being typed before and after, how it plays out. Are there any animals or functions that you feel that you are kind of learning more about at this point, or discovering? Did you get any like aha experience, or even earlier, like, is there something that really makes, you know, have you created some kind of understanding that you didn't have before?
Like just related to any functions or my
Yeah,
own
yeah,
functions?
any functions or any animals, or yeah, in, about the modality or whatever.
Mm. Might take me a little bit.
Yeah,
Combing through information.
not just pulling something out of your ass like I do. I
Combing through
respect that.
information. Yeah. I think like learning about the TEs has been really fascinating for me. Just because, it's thinking on a spectrum, which is very opposite from my personal ideas and personal thinking. And, admittedly, having been triggered by TE a little bit, they come in to provide, like, I guess, I don't know how to define it. I've learned to appreciate TE more because it's not coming, I've learned not to take it as personal if someone's giving like a TE tip or something along the lines of that. When
Yeah.
it's really, it comes down to, oh, they're trying to optimize whatever it is that I'm doing, and it's not personal. It's more of, hey, they're just, trying to help out. When I've felt like I've always tried to make it a little bit personal, but having interacted more with TE and seeing the function and in action, like I feel like my aha is like, oh wow, I get really triggered when it's not my idea, and it's because I feel it's so tied to my identity, and I just need to relax and let it go and just accept that, and then see if it works for me or not, and that they're trying to help.
Yeah. Yeah, like not be offended right away.
Yes.
Yeah, that happens so easily, because the feeling you get is like, yeah, don't you think that I already thought of that, like, and I rejected that, or yeah. Like,
so yeah, learning not to be take it personal. And I really like appreciate the T's that I speak with, because they're so insightful. It's like, wow, they've taken all this on a spectrum, and I'm missing all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's me having becoming or developing or having developed an admiration for that. I guess I made it very about me and DI again.
Yeah.
But that's just like a most recent insight I've thought of.
Appreciating the TE more.
Yeah.
It's an awesome function. I am, and I have said that many times, I'm kind of impressed, like, for example, at the pace it's moving, like with this enormous speed, like they're just everywhere, all over the place, and just scanning for different logics and solutions and whatever. Yeah, that's impressive.
It is.
Because my own process, especially having TI third, is kind of slow.
Yeah.
Like, super slow. So yeah.
But yeah, that's I guess one thing that I thought of. And I think other insight I've developed is sometimes my rigidity to things also comes with maybe a little bit from masculine sensory, because I'm so like hard with the facts and hard with timing and hard with, or rigid with that I realize. So I always bring this up because it's a constant struggle for me. I have productivity standards at work as a therapist, so they don't count us being productive outside of the time we actually spend one-on-one with our clients. So I have 6 hours worth of clients and I have I work an 8-hour day, that 2 hours is not considered productive, whether I'm faxing things, talking to doctors, doing paperwork, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I have documentation to do, it's hard for me to do it when I have a client there because I want to be present to them and I don't want to do that. So I put a lot of pressure, time pressure on myself, which I think kind of comes from the SE awareness of time, and then DI just being hard on myself. Like, I got to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
And then it limits me from being able to narrow all the information down to in my evaluation. So it's a lot of pressure that I create to try to be compliant with the company standards on getting things done.
Maybe your own standards are almost higher, seems like.
Yeah. I mean, if I had it my way, I would, take a few days to get the documentation done. But knowing that I want to be compliant with the company and, it's like, I got to narrow it down, but it's on their terms. But it's like, I'm so rigid with myself and the time I give myself. I have 60 minutes to do an assessment and document accurately according to the company standards. And I'm like, 60 minutes isn't enough. I got to narrow all that down in 60 minutes. And I'm very much, okay, 5 minutes left. I'm not done. Oh my gosh, what's going on?
Like, where am I going to cut? Because it's all masculine sensory. They are all unmovable. The facts are there and they are not going anywhere. So how am I going to narrow this whole thing down? Yes.
So that's an insight I made into my type and, how my perception of time and information affects me. So there's a lot of pressure there.
So can you kind of like fake it now and like let go of some of the unmovable facts anyways, or like pretend, fake it till you make it, or how do you go about it?
It's so hard. Sometimes it's just, it ends up being, I want to curse. Can I curse?
You can do what you like. Yeah, sure.
No, I'm not going to curse, but it's going to be very not thorough. Let's put it that way. It's not as thorough as I like. And so then I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah.
This is what they want. This is what they're going to have to get based on the time that I have. It's just not going to be as good as I want it to be. There's a little bit of, the identity piece that's mixed in with it too, where me having a certain standard of documentation, but I can't meet it based on time constraints.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't hear you curse though.
Huh?
I didn't hear you curse now.
Oh no, I decided not to. Self-control. Because it's, it's going to be on the internet somewhere. So, I never know who might see this. So
yeah, you never know. That's so true.
Right. Yeah, you never know who might see this. Not that I, that's again, demon FE, not being aware.
Yeah. What about your last function? So we have been talking about the narrowing down and the NI there. So like you have feminine NI and I do too, but at the top. So I'm just curious, like, do you even see your NI? Because I can't see my NI.
I think I get glimpses of it where I feel like I'm very flexible with what a specific piece of sensory information could mean. And like, I guess the perspectives that can be taken from that one given piece of information. I guess I think of it like words, like you have there. THERE, it's there, the sound there is there, but it could be, something that belongs to someone. It could be pointing to something over there, but it's like, I don't know. I can't really put it into words, but that's kind of how I see the demon NI. It's like you have that specific sensory, but there are different meanings that can be applied to it. And I don't know which one is the
category.
Yeah.
Like how do they tie together?
I get how they tie together, but it could just be perceived differently based on context, I guess.
Yeah. So everything is not the same.
Yeah, concepts just aren't rigid. They're fluid. It could be
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, I don't have a great understanding of it, so I can't even verbalize it really. Um,
And that's
maybe.
also feminine NI, like that the concepts
Mhm,
are fluid,
mhm.
because they are to me too. Like, yeah, they are movable.
Yeah,
And
it's like,
it could go like this way or that way,
mhm.
like in different directions.
Or it's like being a chameleon, maybe like whatever the situation calls for, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. My brain is in a fog with that right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Concepts. Yeah, it's
yeah.
interesting. Like for me, like what I see that my brain does is that I want to make things, the same somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know that everything is not the same, but I will always
Mm-hmm.
look for something that is very similar and kind of try to make it the same, the same
Mm-hmm.
concept. It's not the same thing, but it's the same
Mm-hmm.
category. Like for instance, OP. So the
Mm-hmm.
OP system, you have the board. So
Mm-hmm.
what my brain is thinking of like immediately when I learned the system was, oh, it's like the periodic table of elements,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is the same concept.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just personalities versus the elements
Yes,
in
yes.
nature. So like even before all of the elements were discovered, you would be able to tell like how the element, like define it, like the quality of it, how it worked, what it looked
Mm-hmm.
like, just based on where it was placed in the system. And that's the
Yeah,
same with the OP system.
yeah.
So even if we haven't seen all of the types, we know that this type that fits in here is going to have these kind of tidal waves, is going to work like this.
Mm-hmm.
We know that even before we met a person who has the type.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so my brain is always doing that, like scanning for similar things and then
Yeah.
clumping them together in like, okay, this fits here in this category.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now now since you said that, like my brain is, um, I think where I see NI too, it's like processes. I may get to a certain end result, but the process that I may do to get there may vary each time I do it. Like I'm not committed to a specific process as long as I achieve like the end result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you have any
Um,
sensory on that?
mm, like something simple, something silly would be like making a sandwich, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good example. Yeah. Go on.
I get 2 pieces of bread. Like, so I guess some people put it in a certain order where I don't care. Like, okay, I might put mayonnaise and then meat and then cheese and then put it together and it's a sandwich. But I could also put the cheese and then the mayonnaise and then the meat, put it together. To
Yeah.
me, it's still sandwich. It's the same.
Yeah. It's the same
It's the
category.
same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still the sandwich.
Yeah.
When um the process is the process. Yeah, process may vary, but I got to the same end result. Or maybe if the way I cook a steak,
Mm-hmm.
maybe sometimes I'll cook it on the stovetop, or I might cook it in the grill, or I might do it in the broiler in the oven.
Yeah.
Um, but the end result is that I have a cooked piece of steak.
Exactly.
I don't know if that really
Yeah. Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And for the NI, I think like at the top, it will go further, like, yeah, a
Mm-hmm.
sandwich, or you put a piece of meat, then it's a hamburger. That's kind of a sandwich too.
Yeah.
And then you can, the Mexican food, the wraps, with a lot of things inside, whatever. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
so sorry. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of a sandwich
Sandwich.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have the pancakes, which you can, yeah, whatever. So there are all kinds of things that are similar to sandwiches. And in the end, it's
Yeah.
basically just bread,
Yeah.
and something with the bread.
Bread. Yeah. 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 Something like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I think if I also apply it to like people, where I think I mentioned earlier, like having certain, like, I felt like I have NI boxes for like interactions with people and whatnot. Like, I guess if the goal is like being a nice person, being nice can mean something different for each individual I interact with based on what I've learned about them. Nice to one person could be doing something for them, or nice to another person could be just being listening. It's not like a cut and paste concept that I apply to people, but I kind of, I guess, maybe customize my approach to them. And maybe that can be like,
yeah, it's kind of, the concept is being nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have many different like versions of being nice.
Yeah.
Like the sandwiches. So basically that's the same as well.
Yeah. It is essentially, yeah, essentially, but the approach, the process might be a little different, just depending on the person.
Yeah.
Oh no. As you can see, like I is like, I know, pretty blind to it. I feel pretty blind to it.
Yeah, I guess your struggle would be just to do that, to narrow things down, and kind of not breaking things apart and scattering them, but more gathering them and going somewhere with the information. For me it's the opposite, because I don't have consumed, so what am I gonna gather? I'm already narrowed, like from the beginning. So that's kind of a challenge as well. Like it's too little in the bag.
And I have too much. And I have too much.
Yeah.
So we balance each other out then.
Yeah. Basically we need each other, I guess.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the info dom versus the energy dom thing that is talked about? Yeah,
I have.
Any thoughts on that? Like, have you reflected on it or noticed anything? Or
I think a little bit. It seems like, I guess with like the info doms, it seems like the information might be tied a little closer to their identity compared to energy doms, I guess, is what I'm seeing. And energy doms is just like, it's more of maybe the feeling or the vibe. But that's probably like the extent to how I've really thought about it. Like energy doms are a little more double decidery, and info doms are a little more like double observery.
Interesting. So what you're saying is basically that the info doms are more obsessed with the things, and the energy doms are more obsessed with the people.
Yeah, things being the information. Yeah.
That's an interesting thing. Yeah, I haven't thought of it that way.
So it could be, Lynn, I could be very wrong, but that's just based on the video. And then I remember afterwards there was a pretty significant Discord discussion where I think a few of them, I think Uzair and Catherine were both in and talking about it, and people were asking questions and things like that. So I heard a little bit of that too. But I hadn't processed it all too much.
So you are energy dom and I am too. So like, how do you react to info doms? Because what they have been talking about, as far as I have heard, is that we seem to trigger each other, like somehow. Like, do you see any signs of that in yourself? Because I can just, if I start, I can say that what is really hard for me, being consumed last, is that there is so much information and it's so fast and I can't keep up, so it kind of ruins the vibe for me. Like, if it's too much information going on, like this back and forth with information, and not checking in on, like, did you get this? Did you understand? There is no mediator. Like, it's just robots talking about information kind of, and where's the human aspect in this? So there I'm the decider, kind of.
I see. I don't personally, I don't know if it just having double masculine consume at the top. Like if I'm in on a conversation, then I'm just in it to try to get all the information. So maybe I don't really pay as much attention to that. But I
Yeah.
will say, I think I may have noticed it a little bit in maybe in the Discord, like if an energy dom or an info dom are talking and maybe an info dom is like pressing on a certain point, and then the energy dom later is like, why were they pressing on that specific point when I was just, trying to make sure the vibe was good, I guess. And it seemed like they were pushing a little too hard on the information, but not really. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Like being too teachy about it, or
Yeah, like I think it's pretty much what you said. They're just prioritizing information, but where was the human aspect of it?
yeah,
So I've
exactly.
observed it, but I think me in the moment when I'm interacting with someone, I'm not paying attention to that. I'm just paying attention to the information. And then
Yeah.
I tend to process that stuff later.
Yeah, because you're consume double activated
Mm-hmm.
at the top.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that.
So it's like a later, it's like, oh, that's what that person meant, or oh, they weren't happy about X, Y, and Z. It's like
Yeah.
it comes slow and later.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm kind
Yeah.
of tracking that on the front end. And then on the
Yeah.
back end, I'm like, oh, what were they saying? Actually, that was kind of interesting, you know? But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the opposite for me. So
So something we share
mm-hmm.
is the double masculine consume, or
Mm-hmm.
actually we are the same modality. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
we share the modalities with the animals. But
Mm-hmm.
the double masculine consume, you mentioned you have it at the top. So
Mm-hmm.
how is that? Like what I've heard, the masculine animals are supposed to be more aggressive, more punchy. Like how can you be punchy when it comes to consume, you know? Do you have an explanation for that? How do you experience your savior consume?
I guess to be that annoying kid in class asking lots and lots and lots and lots of questions.
Hmm.
Asking questions, well, I think when I'm interested in a subject, I don't just go to one source. I go to multiple sources. When sometimes it's unnecessary to go to multiple sources, and I find I waste time, because then I end up just finding the same thing when I'm thinking, oh, maybe I'll find another little bit of a nugget that's a little different from the one I got before. So I'm going to keep searching until I find that. So it's like, my husband has described that. He's like, oh, you're a really good researcher. That's how, from the
Yeah.
outside looking in, he's like, you're really good at researching things
Uh-huh.
and finding answers to things. So that's kind of what I correlate with double masculine consume. It's like, I'm going to look at a topic, but then I'll look at the other associated topics to try to get a full picture of all the information. I think aside from me actively researching something, it's just, I guess I'm just constantly tuned in even to just my environment. Like if something, I'm not as particular, like if a pencil was on the left side of the table and then it was moved to the right side of the table, but I'll notice if something is like just missing, or if a sound is off, like in my car, something doesn't sound right. Like I just notice those sorts of things. Even though I don't necessarily know what to do about it, I'm tracking what might be different and constantly comparing.
Yeah.
But when it comes to me getting information, I'll ask a lot of questions to try to get as much clarity as possible, which I think sometimes can be annoying to people. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes me think of one guy on Discord. He also has the double masculine consume, and yeah, he's asking questions constantly, all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it holds true. It's
Yeah.
interesting. I have consume last, and it's also double masculine. I think with the pen thing that you mentioned, that is
Mm-hmm.
something I would notice too, and I would get
Mm-hmm.
annoyed. I think that's kind of the demon state, you know. You get irritated when it's
Mm-hmm.
not correct, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and also, yeah, checking facts and things, like I can get annoyed when it's not correct as well. Like, I mean, I'm I'm missing consume, so I probably yeah, like my facts are probably not correct all the time, but still, when I know something, then I respect it, and it's very important to respect that exact information.
Yeah.
Like if you're quoting it or something, it's got to be right.
Yeah. Yeah. Hence, I don't quote many things, because it's like, yeah, I just get the gist of things.
Yeah.
I can't quote them verbatim. Where I'm impressed when people are able to do that, quote things verbatim.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, you got to respect the original quote. You got to respect who said it, when it was said, where it was said, those kind of things.
Yeah.
It's really important. And I think, like in my own case, I have it last, but since it's double masculine, I think maybe that was the reason why I thought I had it like more in a savior state.
Right. Yeah. It's like they say you're aware of your masculine. Seems like you're aware of your masculine animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
So, like, if you read something or watch something, can you like fast forward? Can you skip things? Yeah,
nope,
that's the same.
I can't.
Yeah.
I have to watch everything. I want to get
Everything.
every little drop.
Yeah, exactly. You have to squeeze it out.
And everything. And then if I watch a TV show, then I'm right on my phone looking up when's the next season out. Are there any books, anything else to supplement what I've watched? Because
that's horrible.
I get into it.
Maybe you enjoy it actually. For me, it's kind of draining, because I'm forcing myself. It's my demon, but I still have to somehow. Yeah.
No, I definitely enjoy it. Yeah, I can't watch. Like I know I was talking to someone in the community who just watches like the snippets to get the gist of like the shows. And I'm like, I can't do that. I just can't. I want to watch it. I want to experience it firsthand.
Yeah.
I
don't want to experience it, but I kind of feel that I'm forced
obligated.
To,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hard. Like for instance, if I have a book and if I don't read it, from the beginning to the end, like every little word, I can't say I have read it.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
agreed. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I can't say that I finished something. Oh yeah, I looked at a few pages of it, but
yeah. So that's why sometimes I get a little upset when they say that blasters, because you know what I'm saying, like that they read like a book a day and so forth. I guess maybe some blasters claim that. I'm sure they do, and probably they don't have double masculine consume, is my thought. Because if you have that, you can't say it if you haven't read it, even being blast first. Yeah,
I think another way it plays out, I think like I mentioned when we talked about the info versus energy dom, it's like having that need to understand the person from where they're coming from. Like I don't, it doesn't matter to me if it doesn't matter if English is your second language or you don't speak a lot of English. I am going to try to understand you any way that I can, regardless. Like I think it applies for me too, since I work with a lot of clients that have dementia. And sometimes their communication is affected, and it's not just verbal, it's nonverbal as well. And so I will try any means to make sure I try to understand them and also convey information in a way that's not going to overwhelm them or be frustrating to them as well. So it's just seeking that, there's that need to understand. Yeah. Which also, I guess we could talk about the contrast, having double feminine blast, and then for me on the bottom.
How does that work?
I don't know that it does. I don't know that it does really, but I feel like it's just the whole, like I try to, I don't know, facilitate and guide people towards a certain direction, because I don't want to like tell them, but I think what ends up happening is I end up giving consumer reports. Here's all this information, you decide.
Yeah, yeah. You're not telling them what to do with the information, or not even suggesting, like.
Yeah, that's the gut instinct is to do that, but I'm learning to try to tailor it. I think I'm better with it in the work context now, since I've been doing it for 10 years. And I think certain things I'm picking up on certain patterns that I think once it's in I've recognized the situation, then it's easier for me to be more directive and say, hey, we should try this and try this and try this. But I think I still give a lot of options though, even though I'm like trying to bring them in a certain direction, but it's like at least 2 or 3 different options of what they could do.
Yeah,
with that,
exactly.
instead of telling them the one thing that they should do.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a misunderstood part of BLAST as well. Maybe this is me just, defending myself or something. I don't know. But I also have that same double feminine BLAST, even if it's at the top. But I also feel that what you're saying, I will be directing more, but also I feel it's very important for me not to kind of influence what the person is going to do or not. Like, I don't want to have any part of that.
Yeah.
It's their decision. And I'm wondering if it's not the double feminine aspect of the BLAST. Like, it's not pushing. It's not pushing on the tribe at all. I'm not sure that's how people experience it though from the outside, but that's my feeling from the inside.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you do. Like, you do you. I'm not going to influence you more than that. I can share my information with you. And if you let it, affect your decision, it's up to you. But I don't want to tell you what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. So the way I feel is that I don't really have an agenda in that sense. And I'm wondering if that is the double feminine aspect of it.
Yeah. I think so. Because it's just, in that sense, it is so movable and so influenced, I think, just by the context and the situation.
Yeah.
And I feel like it. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I was just thinking about the double, just the masculine animals. I feel like if any harshness or rigidity comes through, it's probably going to be something related to something in the SE, where I might come out and be like, hey, we really have to get this done because of time constraint, or if you don't do this in a certain way, then you're at risk of this happening and injuring yourself, or that,
Yeah, exactly.
So I think if I do become rigid, or if I become firm, it's something channeling through like
because
the that animal.
Yeah, this doesn't work in reality.
Yes.
So now I have to kind of steer things in that direction.
Yes. Yeah.
I understand. And like also my own demon TI can come out pretty strongly, I think, the masculine TI, because if something is wrong, I stand on that. Like, I'm not going to change my mind if I know, by building this logic. And then I think maybe people will think that is me directing. I don't know. I'm just improvising here.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible when you put yourself forward, like, I'm not moving on this, so we have to move in this direction.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to go some other direction from the direction that I don't want to go in.
Yeah.
So I guess in that sense, it could be not controlling, but it's like it's just cutting off a pathway. Like, we're not going to go down this way.
That's a good way to put it.
But we can go on one of these pathways.
Yeah, because the feminine functions or animals, they are so dancey, and movable. So yeah, if you want to go that way, sure, I'm going to go that way with you, you know.
But I'm not
So,
going that way.
yeah. So when the masculine TI comes, then it's like, no, no way.
I'm not going that way.
That pathway is cut off. Yeah. Interesting. So what are we missing? Like, is there anything else that you feel that we have talked about before that we didn't talk about now, or something you want to add, something you have thought of?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. I know we talked a little bit about play. Did you feel like you got enough information from the bit about play? Because I think I don't know if we moved on kind of quick from that, but
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't know.
I think we covered it though.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Energy dumps here.
Yeah, because otherwise I don't have too much else. Actually, admittedly, I'm getting, the fatigue is beginning to settle in a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, okay, I gotta.
The blast is done.
Yeah, or just process everything a little bit, because it's been a great conversation. Yeah, this has been really fascinating.
Yeah, it really has. And I'm so glad that you came here, and also talking to you on Discord has been really nice.
Yeah.
Fun. And yeah, I'm just, learning so much about like your functions and my functions, and comparing and just, growing when it comes to understanding the Beta Quadra.
Yeah.
There are a lot of similarities going on. I mean, from the outside, you would think that an ESTP and an INFJ would be so super different, but there are so many commonalities. And yeah, sure, sometimes we do it from a different angle, but we're still doing the same thing, kind of.
Yeah. And I'll say, being in Discord and listening, because it's really mostly what I do is listen. It's just, I just admire, and it's really been nice to hear you and how you facilitate and get people engaged. Because it's like, oh, that could, if I could work on that, I could maybe do something a little bit like that. Add a little more blast, it's really nice. It's really nice.
Whenever you like mopes, consume sleep, whenever you open your mouth, I'm like, I want to tell everyone else, like, shut up, now we have to listen, because now there is valuable information coming out here. We need to hear this. Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, I am amazed, like, because you don't even realize it, like how processed your information is and how well consumed it is. I know that people who respect consumable blast, they are always feeling insecure and like, oh, maybe I don't know this properly, but they do. They know like 25 times more than the blasters,
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel with blasters, we're just, going in circles, talking about the same things, not adding any new information, no updating. It gets boring, and then you come, like, you have consumed something else and you're just, giving something small that you think is insignificant. It's like, wow, it's so useful, so interesting. Like, finally we are getting somewhere.
Yeah, that's so fascinating, because it definitely does not feel that way. It's like, whenever I feel like when I do speak to contribute, it's like, I don't have anything of value to contribute. Like, everyone said everything already. Like, what is it that I'm going to say that's going to make a difference? Yeah, that's really how it usually feels. Like, part of the reason why I'm not as engaged on Discord, because it's like, yeah, I'm just here to listen. I don't know that I can contribute. And then I'm also comparing myself, as that I'm not consuming OP as much as I used to, like when I first started. So it's like, I'm just in listening. So that is, I appreciate that though. I appreciate hearing that perspective, that you people are valuing when we do speak up. So that's really nice. It definitely doesn't feel that way though.
But that's very similar to now my NI goes and wants to make something the same. So I'm comparing what you're saying to, an artist, like a true artist is never happy about their work. Never, ever,
Yeah.
It's never completed. It's never good enough. All that. That's basically how I see the consume sleeps. They are artists. Like they have all this information, they have it processed. Still, they feel it's not good enough, and still, it's better than all the rest of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Wow.
So you're artists, and doubting yourself, and it's
Yeah.
not necessary, like at all. So please use your voice, use your information. I want it.
Oh,
And
man.
so many people will benefit from it, I'm sure. And then
Wow.
we can use it,
Yeah.
to blast
Yeah.
it to others.
Wow.
Give us
Thank you.
something to work with.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. That's really definitely opposite perspective than I've perceived it, but I needed to hear that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Wow.
Yeah, I have this friend who is double activated consume, and she's like almost never saying anything. And finally, when she says it, she has like 55 disclaimers, like I'm not sure, blah blah
Right.
blah. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Like, I've known you for 15 years, and everything you have said so far has been perfect. It's been correct. Like, whenever she speaks, it's like, oh, this is valuable.
Yeah.
So let go of the disclaimers and the insecurities and just blast it out.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you. I do.
Yeah. So I think we're kind of done with the interview. What do you think? Are
Yeah.
we fine?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think we're good. Yeah.